regression analysis is changing as swiftly as everything else because it is predicated upon the history of how that traffic has performed in the past. And I can't make decisions on where we're investing our dollars if I can't rely on that data.
AI is shaking up more than finance. It's rewriting how every part of a business works.
Including marketing, where the rules for measurement, budgets, and performance are changing fast.
So, how can CFOs and CMOs stay in sync when AI is redrawing the playbook in real time?
We're talking about data, trust, and transformation across the C-suite.
Welcome to the pre-read. Just like the slides you get before a big meeting, the pre-read prepares you, CFOs, and other executives for the next big thing. It's the global podcast where finance, sustainability, audit, and risk teams come together in the C-suite.
If you're making decisions at scale or need to understand the leaders who are, you're in the right place. This is the pre-read brought to you by Workiva. I'm Steve Soter, accounting enthusiast and Diet Coke aficionado.
And I'm Melissa Zucker, sustainability nerd and equal opportunist caffeine addict. Today, we're breaking down how the marketing playbook has completely been rewritten by AI, why the partnership between the CFO and CMO is more critical than ever, and what every finance executive needs to know about the new metrics that matter.
I had the chance to sit down with Joel Capperella, VP of Revenue Marketing at Workiva, while at our conference Amplify. Joel has a wealth of experience and had a lot to say about the new frontier we find ourselves in.
A few highlights from that dialogue. AI should be a partnership, not a silo. The traditional disconnect between marketing and finance teams is no longer sustainable. As AI changes how data is collected and analyzed, both departments need to collaborate to understand the impact on budget, customer acquisition costs, and overall business strategy. Also, data quality is the new marketing currency. In a world where website traffic is declining and search engine behavior is changing, companies have to shift their focus. Companies that are the most credible and transparent with their data will gain a competitive edge.
My two takeaways from the conversation with Joel: first, legacy metrics are becoming unreliable. The old models for analyzing marketing performance are simply less reliable because they're based on historical data that just doesn't reflect the current market. Going back to partnerships, marketers and CFOs need to work together to find new metrics and models for investing and forecasting. And second, the modern CFO is a transformer, not a caretaker. CFOs need to be proactive and transformative, constantly looking for efficiencies and addressing to the new challenges posed by AI. Those who are content with the status quo will definitely have to adapt more swiftly as technology continues to change at a rapid pace.
So let's get to Steve's conversation with Joel.
Joel Capperella, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about your role.
Thanks, Steve. I'm thrilled to be here. So I am the Vice President of Global Revenue Marketing at Workiva. So what does that mean? It means that our team puts this show on. We try to educate the marketplace to make sure that they understand our perspective on things like making sure your data is secure, how you're leveraging AI. So we're really focused on, hey, a lot of our investments are directed towards, hey, are we educating the marketplace? Do we have an opportunity to serve them? And obviously we want to do that because if we're able to serve the marketplace, we're able to earn their business and keep them for quite a while.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Joel, as you know, we've got an audience of risk, sustainability, and finance executives. And on that last one, if you were talking to a CFO right now about the impact of AI on your part of the business, generating pipeline, getting our name and our brand out there, how is that changing?
Well, I mean, it changes literally every day, right? And then it's not really telling tales out of school to say that every business across the globe has had a significant impact to their website traffic. That's just a fact. I mean, you could look it up on any large language model of your choice, but it will tell you the same thing, that traffic has decreased quite a bit. So why does that matter to us? It matters to us because that is one way that we measure our performance. We make sure that we're connected with our audience in a right way, that we're serving their needs and their interests the right way and answering their questions. So, and obviously that translates into revenue. So what I would tell CFOs is that it's critical for us in marketing to understand and to work with you together on understanding the impact, the modeling of what that will have in the out, but then also the impact right now, because we have to end up shifting budget dollars, right? Obviously, we're responsible and accountable for our own budget. But there's the greater impact of the business because our budget is singular in the scope of plenty of other budgets that are out there. So, it goes from anything simple as, the vendors that I'm using. We have a data team on the business technology team right now that's working with finance and us to talk about regression analysis over when we saturate a particular channel. Now, even that is getting tricky because, and this is what I would say to CFOs as well, that regression analysis is changing as swiftly as everything else because it is predicated upon the history of how that traffic has performed in the past. And the data is basically when you hit a tipping point, when it's no longer makes sense to invest in that channel. So even there, the data is reliable for now, but how many more months is it going to be reliable? And I can't make decisions on where we're investing our dollars if I can't rely on that data. So.
Sure. Well, one question that occurs to me, clearly, because of the involvement of AI, it's not that people are less interested in buying software or whatever it is that company is, but it's going now through a different channel. How do you pick up that engagement? I mean, how do you sort of capture that interest that it hasn't gone away, but now it's just shifted?
Well, look, and again, it's talking to our audience. I mean, this is what you have to understand about our world, the marketing world, is that everything that we do impacts our technology, the way that our budget flows, the way that we calculate our cost of customer acquisition, the way that we're calculating our cost per opportunity. So if you're our audience, that's how you have to help me understand it, and vice versa. Because what we're doing is, and not to get too in the weeds, but a term like inbound marketing has been around forever. The nature of inbound marketing is it's a trade-off, right? You give me your contact information and I get the right to market to you, right? That's predicated on traffic. Means I have to have the traffic come to my property and my digital property. So that is decreasing. So the percentage of our overall effort that relies on that traffic is going away. What's it being replaced with? Well, you have to answer the question that the community is asking for. And you have to do it in a very detailed manner, right? So we had our customer advisory board this morning, and a lot of them are talking about, I heard one gentleman, I forget what company he was from, but he talked about, okay, you have data lakes that feed your business technology and intelligence tools, but he referred to it as a data swamp, right? Because what's happening is that data can't sit in the lake anymore. It's got to go other places, right? So what are they doing? What is our customer advisory board doing? They're asking questions on how to handle that. So what we have to do is we have to answer that question at a very detailed level. Now, in the past, we would probably hold some of that back because we want to earn the right to talk to you before we share that data. But that's gone away, and it's going to continue to go away because you just want the answer. And all the language models are serving up those answers. So our job needs to be able to understand that problem at a very intimate level, which, by the way, we can, and give all the answers as possible. Because I think, it's hard to tell, but I think the winner here is going to be the most credible and the most trustworthy. And again, I think this is where accounting and finance teams need to partner with their marketing teams to understand the model and vice versa, because they don't have either party no longer has the luxury of not knowing the other party's business.
Well, let's dig into that partnership for just a second. Clearly, this has impacted the marketing world. I'm sure your counterparts at other companies and your peers are feeling this. Do you get the sense that CFOs broadly have kind of picked up on this? Maybe it depends on the type of business that they're in. I mean, I'm just wondering, do you get the sense these conversations are happening?
I think there's categories of CFOs, right? There's like your caretakers, right? Which is kind of a historic, and I don't want to, not to use it as a pejorative, but they're caretaking the nature of the business. And then there's your more transformative kind of business driving mentality in CFOs. And I think the latter, candidly, is a little bit ahead of the game of the former. Because the former, again, I can't tell you in 6 months, I can't tell you how search is going to change. And it will change. I have no idea what the destination is. The transformative CFOs understand that. As a matter of fact, again, in our cab today, I can't, at the table I was sitting at, there's about 6 of our customers sitting at a table. every single one of them has a major transformation project. And it was interesting because they all have a name for their project. One was like Project 2025, but now they have to change it to 26.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah. So that's the advantage that transformative type of CFO has, is that they're already thinking about it because they're being asked to find the efficiencies so they can address the transformative nature of what they have to do to contribute to the business. Here, again, not to use it as a pejorative because it certainly isn't, because it's a necessity, but the kind of the caretaker over the status quo is, I think they're going to have to change more swiftly.
88% of global professionals say AI is already driving ROI. But here's the catch. Only 1/3 have the data quality to use it well. In Workiva's latest global practitioner survey, 2,300 finance, audit, and sustainability pros shared how they're building value with AI amid uncertainty, with faster outputs, fewer manual tasks, and more strategic focus. You'll see what's working, where gaps remain, and how data integrity separates the leaders from those lagging behind. Read the full report at workiva.com/PR-building value. That's WORKIVA.com/PR-building value.
Well, it's interesting, and not that this is a conversation about like types of CFOs, but actually even in my career, you notice that those caretakers, are using that word, generally they're growing up into CAO roles, and they tend to be really well at the controllership or CAO. But now that profile of CFO is absolutely changing, where in the past, accounting might have been kind of like a lockstep away in order to get there. I don't actually think that's the case anymore. And I think in part because it requires a different skill set, exactly like what we're talking about on AI. So as we get ready to wrap up here, what advice would you give to both marketers as well as our audience of like actionable things like, hey, you should be doing this right now?
Not to cop out on the answer, but you just don't know where the destination is, right? I think the biggest thing that auditors can do, and look, let's just talk about controls. Like, controls matter to me because I operate under the reliability of what I can and cannot do within the control. Now, it can be tedious for me and others at times, but it's a necessity because that gives me the boundaries. But those boundaries are changing like very rapidly. So I think you need to educate me so I know where those boundaries are. I call it stepping up to like the line of incredulity, right? Like how close can I get to the edge of what I can do? I mean, because I want to stay on this side of the cliff, right? But we don't want to go over. So that's from a controller's perspective. You need to educate me on that because where our money's flowing, how we're making our investments, that matters. For FP&A and for accounting, it's quite similar. I mean, I think we in marketing are trying to swiftly and rapidly change our model. We have to, right? By the way, every company that's watching, anybody that's watching this, you're experiencing the same thing right now. No matter, I don't care what business you're in, right? So that's the same thing on the accounting side and the FP&A side. Is you have to help me. I'm not going to know your side of the business as well as you do, so you need to educate me on the boundaries, on the direction, on where I can gain efficiencies, where I can improve my spend, things like that.
Well, last question, Joel. You're a proud Philadelphian. What about the Eagles this season? I don't know. I don't know if I'm seeing it.
Well, I'm glad you asked. I think that it's going to be the Eagles. You heard it here first. It will be the Eagles and the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship game.
Oh, wow.
And it'll be the Eagles and the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. Okay.
Shocker. And who's going to win?
Birds. Go Birds.
There it is. Joel Capperella, thank you so much for that.
Thanks, Steve. I enjoyed it.
Thank you again to our guest, Joel Capperella. And thank you for listening.
This has been the Pre-Read, brought to you by Workiva, the world's only unified platform for financial reporting, sustainability, audit, and risk.
We've got more insights and hot takes coming your way, so be sure to follow or subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your edge.
If you like the show, leave a review, send it to someone you love, or just shout it out on your next team call.
We'll be back next week with another live conversation from Amplify.
I'm Steve Soter, and that's Alyssa Zucker. Our lead producer is Mike Gravano, with audio support from Joseph Machinsky and Drew Hayes.
Claire Allison is our graphic designer. Transcripts are created and edited by Courtney Kimsey. Thanks to our digital and social team, Mike Berg, Katie Carr, and Michael Karnowski. We'll be back next week. Until then, go lead it like you mean it.